it's, as everyone's saying, it's this last chance to save humanity. The Daily Mirror front page, heat is on, summit to save the world. Is that how you see it?
Not at all. We see every time that these conferences come round, we have the same round of hysterical predictions saying it's the last minute to save the world. And how convenient for these politicians jetting in on their private jets from around the world, that here they are as potential saviours for all mankind. The reality is, of course, very different. They're not there to save mankind. They're there to put up our taxes, to increase their control over our lives. And they're using the same scripts that they've used many times at these conferences. Never did we hear at the election that actually all of this was so urgent. We had an election about Brexit and many other issues, but this one didn't feature very strongly.
No, we're constantly told, aren't we? Well, it was in the election manifestos, but it was in when something is in everyone's manifesto, you don't really get much of a choice, do you? And of course, although it was, pretty early on in the Tory manifesto, it wasn't hidden away, on page 47 or something, but no one was talking about that. I don't remember Boris Johnson driving a bulldozer through a wall with, saving the world. It was all about getting Brexit done, which is what people were saying. Boris Johnson has in the last few moments tweeted, "History will judge us on what we achieve over the next 2 weeks. We cannot let future generations down." And this is the thing, well, the hysteria around this. Now, we know that the British public, like lots of the public around the world, say this: we would like to tackle issues of climate change. We care about the environment. We worry about the planet and our future. However, there are two different aspects to this. One is, what should we do about it? And the other aspect is, exactly what are we talking about trying to actually save us from? Because these apocalyptic, hysterical reports that we see, I mean, Sky and BBC, yes, I'm talking about you in particular. Everything is apocalyptic. We're all going to die. If the temperature goes above 1.5 degrees higher than in pre-industrial times, we're going to be set on fire. The forests Amazon forest is basically disappeared. The whole of the world is going to be underwater. The bits that aren't in drought, the bits that aren't on fire. And none of this is actually evidence-based. Those claims, the hysteria, the catastrophizing, the crisis of climate, the climate crisis is called, the climate catastrophe, as the BBC insists on calling it, that is rhetoric that is not backed up by the actual scientific reports, like the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's most recent report that we were told, was it code red for humanity. That's not backed up by what the report actually says is going on.
That's right. It's curious, isn't it, how whenever we hear about climate change, every single element and every single aspect is negative. Yes, the world is warming due to human activities, and we want to try and avoid that if we can. But we're told that all these consequences will be bad because there's a sort of quasi-religious element to this. In which we think because humans have affected the world, it must be an inherently negative impact. And that's quite sad that we sort of view humanity in this negative way. There are going to be challenges to deal with, but we have the technologies to do it. We have nuclear and gas, low carbon energy sources that can provide that reliability that people need. We can't base our future off of unreliable, expensive energy sources like wind and solar. So we need a bit of pragmatism. We can get our emissions down, but we can do so in a sensible way, an effective way that also provides that reliable energy that people...
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's all or nothing. And actually, again, we've only recently been talking about the costs of net zero. I mean, they run into the trillions and trillions of pounds. And again, that's money that's not going to be in the economy. We're not going to be doing other things. We're not going to be spending it on treating cancer or educating children, or indeed on research and development for technological innovation. But a lot of it is based on this view that the human beings are somehow a virus. I mean, we've been treating human beings like that since March 2020, but that we are a bad thing for the planet, and that there are too many of us, and that's a bad thing, despite the fact there are lots more people now because children don't die of malnutrition and disease, and people are living longer lives. I mean, I thought that was something we should be celebrating. And we know that as countries industrialise and people get richer and women get access to contraception, they have a lot fewer children, and the planet will naturally see its population go up and then go down as people get richer. But it's this idea that somehow us being here is a bad thing, and that everything we do is wrong, as opposed to looking at the good side of what we can do to actually improve the planet, and all of the different technological innovations which are going to be there around the corner, which are going to change our lives. I have no doubt at all we will come up with a cleaner, reliable, secure fuel source. But we need to be putting energy into finding that and resources into finding that, rather than just trying to curtail ordinary people's lives as opposed to the extraordinary people who still get to fly around on jets.
Yes, it's a rather unpleasant near-Malthusian elite view that you have, in which people are viewing humanity as a plague. And that's been debunked over the last few hundreds of years, where we've actually seen increasing population numbers go hand in hand with improved living standards. And now actually environmental standards in many rich countries are improving as well. So we've got to see that wealth circulate around the whole world. We've got to see developing countries lifted out of poverty, and that will help them to focus more resources on helping the environment.
And that is the key aspect of things. Actually, the environmental damage, the problems that are happening in the non-developed world. And there's lots of criticism of Britain, like somehow America and China are the really biggest polluters, but we in the UK, as the founders of the Industrial Revolution, we kind of owe the planet something. We need to pay back, despite the fact that the Industrial Revolution has basically doubled our lifespans and led to, the richest person 100 years ago did not live as well as a low-income person in the UK right now. We have transformed the human existence, transformed the length of our lives, the quality of our lives, our health, at every aspect that gives people pleasure on this planet. And yet we're supposed to be embarrassed and ashamed of it, whereas actually what we should be doing is making sure that the rest of the world gets to enjoy what we enjoy. And COP26 and net zero are specifically aimed at stopping them doing that.
That's right. They want to stop developing countries using fossil fuels. They want to make them pursue a way of development that has never been tried or tested anywhere. Every country that's industrialized in history has done so through fossil fuels. And now we're asking the poorest countries in the world to pursue this fantastical path that no one else has achieved. It's totally unfair. And we've got to let them use the sources of energy that they need to use to actually develop.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. I know we'll be talking to you an awful lot over the next couple of weeks.